Good evening and welcome to the September 14th, 2021 regular board meeting of the Roswell Independent School District. I now call this meeting to order. May I have a roll call, please, Ms. Whitcamp?
Hope Morales?
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez?
Yes.
Mona Kirk?
Yes.
James Edwards?
Yes.
Milburn Dolan?
Yes.
Okay, we now have the Pledge of Allegiance and salute to the New Mexico flag. It will be led by Valley View Elementary Student Council.
Hello, my name is Prudence Salinas and I'm from Valley View Student Council.
Hello, my name is Phoebe Getty and I'm from Valley View Student Council.
Hello, I'm Nana Bravo and I'm from Valley View Student Council.
Hello, I'm Kimberly Lara and I'm from Valley View Student Council.
Hello, my name is Sophia Carlos and I'm part of Valley View Student Council.
Hello, my name is Savannah Holman and I'm part of Student Council.
Hello, my name is Phil Clark and I'm a part of Valley View 5th grade Student Council.
Hi, my name is Jocelyn Wright and I'm a part of Valley View Student Council.
Hi, my name is Santiago Alfonso and I'm part of Valley View Student Council.
Hi, my name is Tommy Soares and I'm a part of Valley View Student Council. Hi, my name is Katie Victorino and I'm a part of Valley View Student Council.
Hi, my name is Gisette Ramirez and I'm a part of Valley View Student Council.
Hi, my name is Anela Levette and I'm a part of Valley View Student Council. Please stand and join us as we recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the New Mexico flag salute. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the Zia symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures. And now the Valley View character pledge. Character is how you act when no one is looking, how you treat people who cannot help or hurt you, and what you would do if you knew you would never be found out. Remember, what's right is right, even if no one else is doing it, and what's wrong is wrong, even if everyone else is doing it. So let's join together and help each other be people of great character.
Ms. Johnson, we have some certificates for your students to recognize them coming up. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Appreciate you coming in.
Great job.
Nice job.
Thank you, Mr. Ackerman. Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Moving to the agenda, I do have one modification to the agenda. Under information items, we need to update the chamber presenter to Andrea Moore, not Angela Moore. Mr. Luck, are there any other modifications to the agenda?
No, not other than that one right there, ma'am.
Thank you. So may I have a motion to approve the agenda with flexibility and the modification to update our presenter?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion made by Mr. Dolan and a second made by Ms. Kirk. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. The ayes have it and the motion carried. Next, we have individuals and groups for recognition. Mr. Luck?
Yes, we have quite a few recognitions tonight. So our first recognition will be Enid Costley in the Roswell Public Library.
Other representatives, come on up.
Ms. Cole, go ahead.
Yes, sir. I don't need to push the button, sorry. President Morales, Superintendent Locke, members of the board, we have Diana Velasco, who is a senior page librarian, and Tracy Fry, who's the children and youth librarian. So the Roswell Public Library received a donation on behalf of Jetta Miles. Everyone remembers Jetta Miles? Yeah. And so they utilized that donation to put together backpacks filled with books for all of our kindergartners in the Roswell School District. So we just wanted to thank them for thinking of our students, and we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
we do have a certificate for you all. And I think I met you at the Piñata Fest when you were talking to my daughter about reading. So yes, thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Okay, next, sir.
Madam President, members of the board, next up is the Chaves County CASA organization. Ms. Cole?
Yes, sir. So from CASA, first of all, I just want to say CASA has just been an amazing partner for our school district over the years, and especially the past couple of years that have been so difficult. They have several youth programs in our secondary schools. They have girls leadership, girls circle, boys leadership, and they do RAP assessments for us. They help us with students who have issues with substance abuse, and the list could just go on and on. They have opened a new resource center. It's a drop-in center for youth ages 18 to 22, and so they can certainly serve our high school students who are 18. And so they've also been hosting some professional development for us. So before school started, they hosted our counselors and our social workers and took them on a tour of the facility so they could see the resources that we have access to. And then they catered a luncheon for our school secretaries who worked so hard, and they hosted them there. So we just wanted to say that we thank you very much. So we have Mary Colby, who's the Deputy Director of CASA, and then we have Gabby Castro, who is the Director of the Youth Programs at CASA.
Nice.
Awesome. Thank you both so much.
Thank you, yes, thank you.
Thank you very much.
We're very thankful for our partnership.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Next up, Madam President, we have a couple different groups that we'd like to recognize for the job fair. First up will be the Roswell Chamber of Commerce with Miss Andrea Moore, CEO. I believe she's here solo tonight, but I also want to recognize Liz Taylor, which is the executive assistant.
Yep.
So,
Ms. Moore, and we will also have a presentation from you in a little bit about everything that you are doing. And thank you so much, ma'am.
yes, ma'am, they housed our job fair. They did a phenomenal job. They were very, very hospitable, and like I said, we look forward to a good working relationship with your group, so thank you very much. Also, with our job fair recognition would be Pecos Valley Broadcasting. And I'm trying to see if we have any representatives here from Pecos Valley Broadcasting. Mike Winters, 106.5, KSVP 990, just a phenomenal relationship that they have with our schools, promoting and just letting us get the information out that we need to get out. So we want to publicly thank them as well. So up next in our recognition will be 5A Athletic Director of the Year, Mr. Britt Cooper.
Mr. Cooper, you have to come up. Mr. Cooper, you have to come up.
Say a few words. Say a few words. Say a few words, sir. We want you to say a few words. Congratulations. Yes. Excellent. Well deserved.
So while Mr. Cooper is making his way across here, September 27th, I believe, is the date that there's a NMAA luncheon where Mr. Cooper will receive formal recognition from the state. Man, what a year we had last year. And like I said, Mr. Cooper charged through it, and lots of flexibility and lots of sleepless nights. And we're very fortunate to have Mr. Cooper, and just wanted to say thank you again. And this award could not have gone to a better, more well-deserving person. So, Britt, again, thank you very much, sir.
I'd like to thank my staff, with Anjanette and Susie in the office, and then my coordinators at each of the schools, and just everybody, all the support the board's given me, and, Mr. Luck and, Mr. Gottlieb last year through a very tough year. So, stuff like this you don't do on your own, and, I'm appreciative of it, and I work with great people, so thanks.
Madam President, members of the board, next up will be our National High School Coaches Association Hall of Fame inductee, and that will be Mr. Coach David Lynn. So, Mr. Coach Lynn.
Coach Lynn, we do have a certificate for you. We're gonna get the name updated for you, Coach. So we're gonna update, but you know what? You could take that and give it to Jeff Lynn too, because I think, but we will get you that. But sir, thank you so much. You have brought years of service to the school, the students, the district, and you are very much appreciated.
Thank you. I would like to say this. wanna do a little math, I started in 1971. I haven't taught school in 10 years. But I think the key to myself, that any success I have is my wife, making it hard.
Yeah.
She has deceased, but she gave me 3 great kids, and they're successful in their own right. Another thing too, the key to anything is perseverance and showing up every day. When it gets hard, just keep going. Persevere. Good things will happen. Thanks a lot.
Madam President, members of the board, next up will be the Roswell High School Charlie's Angels, which I believe were state champs last year. So if you guys please come forward.
Nice work. Congrats. I like it. Wow, nice. Congrats. Congrats. Great job. Thank you. Great job.
I want to thank the board for recognizing my team here today. You guys can face the audience if you want. Or stay up there and just face this way. Anyway, congratulations, Coach Cooper. Congratulations, Coach Lynn, on your accomplishments. Anyway, thank you for recognizing us. We had state in May, so I'm sad that my seniors couldn't be here. But our team is Annie Aldana, Isabella Archuleta, Anicia Barrera, senior Edeline de las Casas, and she's at ENMU, Delaney Denayo, Malia Dumlau, Isabella Garcia, Ariana Lazos, Kate McDonald, who is attending UNM, Ricky Madrano is New Mexico State University, Anissa Otero is at University of Las Vegas. I've got Jacqueline Pappas, Kayla Quiroz, ENMU, Savannah Sanchez, and Emily Tuckers at Texas Tech. But I want to thank you, the board, for all your support, and I'm just really proud of this group of kids. You know, as you know, last year was a very rough year with COVID. You know, most of the time we were practicing in pods, sometimes we weren't practicing at all. And, you know, I know a lot of times the kids got down because they didn't think state was going to happen, but luckily it did. And I told them it may or may not happen, but if it does, we're going to be ready. And we were definitely ready. And I'm so proud of you kids. And I just want to, again, thank the board and thank Coach Cooper, our athletic director, for all your support. Thank you so much. It's 13. Thank you, Kim. Thank you.
So does that require like a bracelet or something? I mean, we've kind of run out of digits there. Congratulations again. Madam President, members of the board, up next will be Coach Deck and the Goddard High School track state champion. So Coach Deck.
So should I ask about the pajamas today?
Well, they both have prepared speeches, right, boys? So let me first talk about, to follow up kind of what Coach Castro said. You know, last year was a really difficult year for us as teachers, coaches, kids, athletics. So thank you for all the support for us to be able to have a season. Coach Cooper, the board, everybody. But I'll be honest, I think the kids, every kid that I had in track, football, and in the classroom, they handled COVID way better than we did as adults. So they were an inspiration to me to get this stuff done. I know planning the track season, we went long into June. There was a lot of unusual things about it, and so these guys killed it. And not just these two, but we had a lot of kids come out and stay out for all of June. So credit to the kids for that. That was a really difficult time, and they came out as champions. So let me introduce. So we're state champions in the 4x1 and the 4x2. So let me first talk about the two that aren't here. Jaden Abernathy, he was a senior. He graduated last year. He's at New Mexico State. And then Nicholas Baca, he's currently a senior, but he plays soccer for Goddard. So they're playing Roswell High right now. So he's in a big one over there. So shout out to Nick Baca as well. Over here on my left, we have Diego Nunez. He was the third leg on the 4x2 state champion. And then third place, 4x1, also Diego Nunez. Then Javen Morales right here, state champion in the 100. Okay, and then also Jaden Abernathy not here, second place in the 100. So went 1-2 in the 100 actually. So pretty amazing there. State champion 4x1, state champion 4x2, Javen Morales.
Now,
He
Coach,
inherited his speed from you, right, Mr. Morales?
the only time I run, it's for board, Mr.
There
Dick.
you go.
So, I do want to give a shout out to the coaches. I never thought coaches could be more excited than parents at a state track meet, but Coach Deck and his team sure outdid the fans in the stand. So, and Coach, we have certificates for you and your students, and you guys can come give us a
Yeah, fist bump.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Congrats.
Congrats. Good job. Good job.
Congratulations.
He deserves it too. Listen to that.
Good job, It was a tough year with these guys or something else, and I know that he's been doing great things on the football field too.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we're looking forward to some more football action going forward, so keep it up.
Now we will have inquiries and general comments. Ms. Whitcamp, has anyone signed up to speak?
Yes, ma'am, we have 3.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and go over the public forum and ground rules. Please listen and speak with respect. No uncivil conduct will be permitted. Please do not discuss any specific student that is not your own. Please do not discuss confidential personnel matters, including those of a disciplinary nature regarding any RISD employee. This should be discussed with the superintendent or the employee supervisor. Please self-monitor and observe the 2-minute time limit. You may be given a 30-second warning when your time is almost up. If needed to accommodate a larger group of speakers and maintain a reasonable meeting schedule, the time limit for all speakers may be shortened. No sharing of time is permitted. Public commentary and dialogue is only guaranteed during the public forum, not throughout the meeting. Please search for answers on common ground. You may speak on any topic, whether it is on the agenda or not. Your input will be taken into consideration. Please be advised that the board may discuss your issue during the meeting, but by law, the board cannot take action on items that are not on the agenda. For the safety of yourself and others, signs and placards are not permitted in the boardroom. However, you are invited to express your concerns during public forum or submit your concerns to the board in writing.
Madam President, I apologize, we have 4 speakers. Our first one is Adam Davis.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Davis?
Yes, so I just found out today that starting next week, those of us who have yet to or are not going to be vaccinated with the experimental vaccines will have to test every week starting next week. Those who have been vaccinated have the reward of not having to test, despite the fact that the science, the CDC itself has come forward to say that those who have been vaccinated are just as likely to transmit and to contract and transmit COVID as those of us who haven't. So, I mean, the question must then be raised. I mean, why? I mean, why target those of us who haven't been vaccinated, or why comply with this? I mean, you listen to anybody who supports these mandates, it seems clear that this is about targeting, it's about coercion, and it's about discrimination, and ultimately segregating with vaccinated and non-vaccinated. And I would go on to complain about how it's a violation of rights, but with your compliance in this, you're sending a crystal clear message that you couldn't possibly care less about our medical freedom. My vaccination status, with all due respect, is no one's business. I mean, if for what it may be worth, I have it on good authority that even here within the district itself, that those who have been vaccinated have caught COVID and passed it on to others in the district. If that infuriates you, that we know this, I mean, imagine how we must feel for a moment having disclosed this. I mean, when will the time come that you're going to, will we mandate cancer disclosure or HIV disclosure again, like we did in the 70s and 80s?
15 seconds.
Yes. So, I mean, finally, I've heard it all day today that we're just following orders or we're just complying. There's going to come a time when that is no longer going to be the valid defense. Just following orders, the time will come when that will no longer apply. That'll no longer be a valid defense.
Time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Next, we have Lynette Jordan. Okay, moving along. Joni Ellis. Donna Johnson.
Yes, I have handouts for the board members, if I may give them to them now.
Right here. If you hit them right here, we'll take care of them. We'll pass them around.
Okay, okay, there's two, there's one on masks and one on vaccines, and there's scientific data. Yeah, sure I get the right thing. Scientific data with links attached.
Please, to the microphone.
Scientific links.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Donna Johnson. I'm a resident of Roswell, a voter, a mother, a grandmother, and a concerned citizen. Children are our future. Quoting from our 45th president, every child is a precious gift from God. Children are our future, yet they have no voice. We are their voice. We must be their voice. They are dependent upon adults and are easily swayed or manipulated to conform to the wishes and ideals of adults. Therefore, it is crucial that we stand for parental rights and be their voice. It is crucial, already read that. It is crucial that we take a stand to assure the public education system's policies and curriculum are in line with the values parents have instilled in their children. We must not relinquish parental rights, lest schools indoctrinate rather than educate. What was witnessed at the last month's meeting was appalling. A very large number of parents and citizens attended. Many spoke, requesting the school board to support local and parental choice regarding mask mandates, apparently to no avail. Essentially, parent and local choice is ignored. School board members are elected public officials. Their actions are held accountable to their constituents who elected them. And this board turned a deaf ear to the pleadings of
15
parents
seconds.
and community members, begging them to take a stand for parental and local control. Recently, both Artesia and Portales have joined with the Gallup-McKinley lawsuit against the PED, whereas our school board has demonstrated local and parental
Time.
choice is not their priority. Once
Thank you,
again,
Ms.
they are
Johnson.
negligent. Thank you.
Okay, next we have our informational items. Mr. Luck?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, we have the following item, Madam President, members of the board. First tonight will be the Roswell Chamber of Commerce with a presentation by Miss Andrea Moore. So, Miss Moore.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me come speak to you this wonderful, beautiful evening outside.
Right, you can raise that up if you want. There you go.
Let's see if I can do it without squeaking.
Good job.
There we go. Is that better? Okay. So thank you for letting me come speak. I just wanted to follow up on the recognition that we received as the Roswell Chamber of Commerce, and just remark that I am looking forward to having a long and successful relationship with the Roswell Independent School District and beyond. So please give us any and all information that you guys have, because we have started our fantastic publication, Roswell Now magazine, and with the first 2 publications, we have gotten rave reviews from the community. It goes out to every single household within the boundaries of Chaves County, so that's Dexter, Lake Arthur, Hagerman, as well as Roswell, because we do need to remember that they are part of our community. That as wonderful as Roswell is, we have other wonderful communities. And my ask is just continue to send us all the information, because we are going to start having a dedicated section in our magazine just for schools and education. So if there's special meetings, special calendar events, special things that you want us to give a kudos and a recognition to, I just ask that you continue to do that, because we try to do that in the office, but there are only 3 of us, so sometimes we do miss things and it's not on purpose. And I will just finish with my remarks as I finished at City Council the other night. We are no longer looking in our rearview mirror. We are looking through the windshield, and we can only hope and know that our future is so bright we have to wear shades. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And Andrea, before you sit down, I just want to acknowledge you. I loved that first edition, and I know you helped highlight our valedictorians from all of the schools, so that was so awesome to read. And what I like about it is you really highlighted some great citizens from the community that you don't always know, and you don't know what they're up to or what they're doing. So I think that is so awesome in what you're doing.
Oh,
and
thank
before
you.
I let her sit down, Board, any questions for her?
Oh, yes,
or
any
comments?
questions?
Keep up the
Great job.
work.
Thank you, Ms. Moore.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Madam President, members of the board, up next will be Ms. Jennifer Bolaños to update us on Fun Fit Family Night.
Good evening, board members and Superintendent Luck. For many years, the Roswell District Wellness Committee has partnered with community agencies to put on a special night just for elementary students to promote fitness, physical activity, and healthy choices. This year, our annual Fun Fit Family Night will be Monday, September 27th, 2021, from 5:30 to 7, and you should have a flyer in front of you. The event will take place outside at Cielo Grande Recreation Area. We decided to promote the 2 walking trails and also try to have an outdoor activity for families. The event is free to all elementary students and their families. There will be physical activities with our PE teachers, healthy snacks through the nutrition department. We may be able to provide flu shots for students, and other community agencies will be there, such as Healthy Kids Chaves County, the City of Roswell Mayor, City of Roswell Parks and Rec, Chaves County Extension, New Mexico State University ICANN, New Mexico Department of Health, School-Based Health Center, on and on and on, ENMUR Nursing. I can't even name them all. We will be promoting COVID-safe practices such as staying home if ill, or symptomatic, mask wearing, social distancing, and good hand hygiene during the event. But we would like everybody to come out, including pre-K. We didn't list it like that, but we know our pre-Ks are there at the elementary, and they're all invited also. So
Nice.
join us if you can, even if you don't have an elementary child.
Board, any
Any questions?
I want to compliment you because I know this has been going on for many, many years, and I have sat on the committee for many years, and I appreciate you taking up the event and planning. And I tell you, during the meeting, she gets down to business. She rocks and rolls, and she gets us off there. So congratulations, Jennifer.
Thank
Kudos.
Ms. Bolaños, is this our first one that's going to be outdoors?
I don't know all of them.
No, no.
So actually, I don't know that it's the first one that's been outdoors, but I think that, we've had them at both of the high schools, the Civic Center, lots of different places. They may have had a walking one at Roswell High at one point.
They've always been
outside.
so well attended, so I think it's really cool doing it outdoors. And kudos on even the flyer design. It's great information, the Spanish on the back, so thank you. Great job.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Well, I just want to pipe in because I'm going to tell you right now, the organizers that have been with this event for years and years and years, They have persistent to be nice about it as far as this can't be something that goes by the wayside. And the support that the district and the PE teachers and everybody that puts into this, and Ms. Bolaños and her crew, I mean, it truly is a neat event. So I would encourage everybody that can to participate in this.
Absolutely.
So.
Thank you.
Mrs. Bolaños, has this been advertised in the Spanish radio station?
It is not.
Okay.
Flyers go home to students this week at all the elementaries, and so that's really our advertisement. It goes straight home to their parents.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, we're going to move on to approval of the minutes.
Madam President, I recommend approval of the minutes of the regular meeting August 10th, 2021, and the special meeting August 18th, 2021.
Okay. And I do have a couple of modifications for the regular meeting on August 10th.
And I do too.
Okay. And maybe we'll have the same ones. Let's see.
Probably.
Okay, on page 2, we need to remove the line that states, "The motion carried unanimously after public input." There was no motion made at that point in time, so we just need to strike that sentence. We need to move up the resolution that is listed on page 4 to page 2 after public input, just to reflect the order of business. We need to add a break prior to us going into executive session, so just noting that break. And then lastly, on page 5 and 6, under policy 3400, the motion was made to approve with the modification of changing the last shall to may. And I shared some of those with you, so let me know if I can.
Okay,
You got 'em?
thank you.
Ms. Kirk, did you have any different ones?
Yes, I did. So there was one policy that the bold attendance on page, let's see, 10 of 11, policy J 6281, just with consistency, keeping the bold. And that's my only.
Board, any other modification? Okay. If not, may I have a motion to approve with modifications?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion made by Ms. Sanchez and a second made by Ms. Kirk. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. The ayes have it and the motion carried. The consent agenda is now up.
Madam President, I recommend approval of the consent agenda to approve August bills, authorize September bills, and approve September bars.
Is there any discussion on these items?
No.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
I'll take a motion by Ms. Kirk and a second by Mr. Dolan. All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. The ayes have it and the motion carried. Okay, we have action items on the agenda next. First, we have the letter of support for ENMUR Trio Upward Bound Program.
Madam President, I recommend approval of the letter of support for ENMUR Trio Upward Bound Program.
Do we have a speaker or any additional information?
Ms. Cole?
from him? No? Okay, and Ms. Cole, I saw that there was a letter already attached from you giving support on August 26th. Do we know, are we approving that letter, or we'll make a new letter?
A letter from the board, ma'am,
Gotcha.
from what I
Yeah,
understand.
that's how I understood it too. So would the board be okay with me writing a simple letter of approval on behalf of the board supporting that program?
Absolutely.
I think so. It's my opinion that's a great program for many years, and the value to our kids is great.
I do too.
So
I
Ms.
agree.
Cole's letter was on there as an attachment, plus I believe the Upward Bound Program emailed all of us individually. Is there any concern or questions related to us sending a letter of approval?
Personally, no.
Okay, so can I have a motion for me to write a letter of support on behalf of the board?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion made by Ms. Kirk and a second made by Ms. Sanchez. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes have it and the motion carried. Next, we have the RHS Band out-of-state travel to Denver City, Texas on October 2nd.
Madam President, I recommend approval of the RHS Band out-of-state travel to Denver City, Texas, October 2nd, 2021.
Okay, do we have a speaker from Roswell High that wants to tell us a little more? Thank you, Mr. Carrasco.
Volunteering.
Okay. So,
Volunteer or voluntold?
I believe this trip is something that they normally took annually. Is that right, Mr. Carrasco?
Yes, ma'am, it had stopped for a while, but they've brought it back.
Okay.
And so when they go, that's part of their festival rotation that they do, so we're really excited. I do want to recognize Dr. Gomez, if you haven't seen him. I tell you, there's only one person that works harder than Mr. Luck in the district, and that's Mr. Gomez.
Nice.
I say that sarcastically, of course, but no, he's doing a great job. Our numbers are up, and so we're really excited to see them start to get the payoff for all their hard work, and that's to be able to get a group of students to perform that normally don't get to.
Nice.
Awesome.
And again, this is just in compliance with out-of-state travel for the approval to go over to Denver City.
So, you have any questions?
Is there any concerns on the hurricane, the last one we had there in that part of town?
No.
Oh, no, ma'am. No, ma'am. This is just right across the border.
Yeah, Denver City, Texas. Okay.
Oh, no, I was talking about the New Orleans.
No, we're
That's
not
the
that one
next
yet.
one.
We're not there yet.
Okay, so for the travel request to Denver City, Texas, may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Oh. Okay, I'll go ahead and take a motion by Mr. Edwards and a second by Ms. Sanchez on this one. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The motion has carried. Okay, now we have the RHS band out-of-state travel to New Orleans on April 26th through the 30th of 2022.
Madam President, I recommend approval of the RHS band out-of-state travel to New Orleans, Louisiana, April 26th through the 30th, 2022.
Okay, Mr. Carrasco, do we know, is this for a competition, for training?
They will get to perform. They're in New Orleans, but what they'll do is this is basically their end of year trip that they go on as a group. They raise the money for it and then attempt that. That's kind of like their senior trip, but it's the entire band trip that they go. Like I said, Dr. Gomez is really proactive about making sure that his students don't feel as second citizens to anybody at Roswell High. And I'd like to think that our administrative team and our teachers and our student body really recognize the hard work that they put in. So this is kind of just the culmination of to reward those band kids, and that is brought forward by Dr. Gomez.
Awesome.
And the date is for 2022?
Yes, ma'am, next
So,
semester,
yeah.
yes, ma'am.
Gotcha.
And the only thing, Mr. Carrasco, if we can just be updated, it says right now 40 students are signed up, and it may increase or decrease. So
Yes,
just
ma'am,
to make sure
absolutely.
it's not increasing by triple or not.
No. Well, our band is right now running about 45 to 50 students, so they wouldn't go past that because they
Yes.
would have to be in
Awesome.
band.
Okay.
so.
And this is being done now so they can start their fundraising for that.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Thank you, Miss.
Any questions?
Well, and just real quick, I'll address the concern from Ms. Sanchez. Of course, we're going to monitor, we would work with band director from Roswell High to make sure that we're following all of our guidelines and get them someplace that we feel good about and is safe as well. So we'll monitor that as well.
And I see 6 to 8 chaperones, so that's awesome as well. That'll be attending with them. Okay, with that, may I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
May-
Second.
Okay, I have a motion made by Mr. Edwards and a second made by Mr. Dolan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes have it, and the motion has carried. Now we have a donation of $1,000 to RHS activities.
Madam President, I recommend approval of a donation of $1,000 to Roswell High School activities.
Board, any questions?
The anonymous donation.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, would you like to speak, sir?
Thank y'all for not asking any questions, but I feel it would behoove us for us to do that. And on this section, first of all, I'd like to recognize and thank Mr. Luck, the board, and very importantly, Mr. Luck's staff, his assistant superintendents. And what this donation is, and it is anonymous, it's for the, people don't know that we were hours away from closing down Roswell High due to our cases.
Mm-hmm.
In order to stay open, the New Mexico Public Education Department gave us an opportunity to put a plan together to keep our kids in school. And of course, two main items are there. One of them is, how are you going to reduce the spreading of COVID-19. So some of the things that we had to put in the plan was to reduce the number of kids going at lunch. So we increased our lunches. Our custodians are working around the clock to make sure we're fogging and sanitizing the surfaces that our students are at. Of course, mask wearing mandates that are put in place. But one of the ones that we hadn't seen before is what's your plan to get more people vaccinated? So following Hobbs, New Mexico, and following suit, one of the things that we did is we wanted to put a Friday Night Lights vaccination clinic together. We came up with 2 dates. I thought we had it all covered, and I went to Mr. Luck and he said, how are we going to pay for the ticket? Because one of the things we want to do is you get a free ticket if you come get vaccinated for that night. Good to know that they really weren't worried about the ticket. But we did have kids from Berrindo, kids from Goddard, kids from Roswell, and kids from Mountain View. We had 8 times of what we thought we would have. But to give those tickets out, that has to come from somewhere. So this family stepped up and gave a $1,000 donation. The reason we did it to RHS Activities is because we don't anticipate that it's going to take that much, and the rest of the money will just go into our activities fund. But that's one of the things that I definitely want. Also, I want our public to know it is 100%. You must have consent from your parents. Fill the form out, and that form has to be there. I do want to recognize La Casa. They're the ones that ran it for us, and they were there early, stayed as late as they wanted to. We were actually putting it up, and 2 more kids came up and said, I'd like to get my vaccination, and we were able to do that. I would also like to say that to the parents, we are respecting your students' right to get vaccinated. We also want to respect those students' right that want to get vaccinated, and it does take parent consent. And we're just trying to keep our doors open, and our goal is to not shut down, period. Nothing more, nothing less. And so I want to thank Madam President, board members, Mr. Luck, and your staff. Thank you so much for all your support to making this happen. We will have another one on the 24th. We're also, if you go to La Casa or to our school-based health clinic, they can get that to you. And what we've done is for the game of the 24th, we've started giving them the tickets that if you do that from now until then, you can receive the free ticket to the game for that date. Thank you. If there's any questions, I'd entertain those at this time.
Excellent idea.
Board,
Thank you,
any
guys.
questions? Okay, with that, I will take a motion to approve.
Second.
A motion made by Ms. Sanchez and a second made by Ms. Kirk. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. The ayes have it and the motion carried. Now we have the NMSBA resolution for legislative priority emergency substitute.
Madam President, I recommend approval of the NMSBA resolution for legislative priority emergency substitutes.
And board, you do have a printed copy of that resolution in case you want to look at it. And Ms. Kirk, would you like to start us off with this?
Yes, so board members, what I'm looking at doing is the approval of this emergency legislative priority substitute resolution. I'm looking at us approving to send it to NMSBA. So the NMSBA has a resolution committee that meets, and we will meet on September the 29th. Want those? On September the 29th to put our platform together. So all we're looking at doing is actually approving to send this to the resolution committee. We're not approving it for it to become policy for RISD because it is legislative action. So this is for the platform, or sending this to the platform, or to NMSBA so we can address it. Now, once we do that, I remind you that even though we send it with the language as is, or if we modify it, whatever happens, once we send it to the committee, they have the approval, the last word. So it could either be modified, it could be combined with, and they sign off on it as part of our platform if they choose.
So Ms. Kirk, if they make changes to it, will we see those changes?
Yes, you will see you'll see the complete final list once our platform's set. And what we try to do is we try to mirror what the superintendent's platform is. Mr. Luck sent that out earlier today. And we try to mirror that, so we're not sending legislation that is independent and overburdensome. You know, we only have a 30-day session this year, so it's going to be a short one. So mainly the budget is going to be covered. But we do want to send we always, every year, we put a platform together for legislative action. And that's what this is the one policy. Well, we have two policies, this and more.
So the first resolution that is on, it is titled, to address teacher and educational support staff shortage. Board, any specific questions on this first resolution or the language?
I think Mr. Dolan had some.
Mine's on the second one,
Oh, okay.
on nepotism and staff shortage. Is that the one?
That's the one.
Okay. So, next bottom paragraph states this would allow school boards in emergency circumstances to approve the hiring of family members of the superintendent as well as family local school board members. Currently, it is not illegal for the superintendent to hire family members, only for members of the school board. So I just think we need to take that out, so we're not opening a bag of worms. It doesn't need to be there, and that'd be addressed in both paragraphs.
Okay, so if you don't mind giving me the specifics, would you mind making those modifications on yours? And then that way I can carry it?
Yes,
Because
ma'am.
I will send this to Mr. Guillen after our board meeting with the recommendations.
Because right now, it's just immediate family members or bloodline of
Right.
school board members.
Okay.
And I think in the current situation, we're scrounging for people. We need substitutes, EAs. So it would that was kind of where I spoke to someone and they said, run with this route.
And this resolution focuses specifically on those positions of substitutes,
Yes.
EAs, those high-need positions. that
In
we have
emergency
HR.
situations.
Yeah, Ms. Sanchez, you
I
have-
was just gonna ask, when were these resolutions due to the New Mexico Board Association?
Okay, so actually it's, NMSBA. I sent them on Monday as draft, yesterday as draft. And upon approval from, the board has to approve them to be sent to them before they can even acknowledge them.
They were due yesterday.
Yeah, they were due yesterday, correct.
And they were submitted electronically? Is that
Yes,
what you did?
yes, ma'am.
So if the board does not vote for them, then you just notify them that the board didn't approve.
Correct. Or if we do with
Changes,
modification,
then you'll
yes,
see.
yes, I'll update.
And we all should have got that email and information from Mr. Guillen on the
Mhm.
NMSBA and the resolution.
Several times, I think
Okay.
he sent out.
So what does that mean when it says you're going to expend the nepotism statute waiver?
So what we'll ask NMSBA to do is they've already they have the waiver or they have the resolution and it's legislation. So what we're wanting them to do is modify that so we can allow emergency substitutes.
And it's not even to say the legislators will change it. This will give NMSBA Joe Guillen a chance to say, my board members want you to do this, and then he will advocate during legislative session.
So he'll put together a platform for all of us. So we will see that platform, we'll see all the resolutions that the resolution committee drafts and votes on, and we will get an opportunity to view that. And that's typically what we use when we go to Santa Fe in January. We moved up the resolution committee meeting earlier because right now the legislatures are getting together to draft policy and look at policy. So typically we've waited till a couple of months into the later to do this, but having said that, and we kind of all agreed that we need to move it up, so we hit them ahead of time, not after the fact.
Ms. Sanchez, this goes back to, remember House Bill 212? So this was part of House Bill 212 and a very small rider in there.
Yeah, so my question would be, can this resolution create any conflicts of interest for the board members?
Well, we don't, and my thought is we don't deal with their hiring or firing, that's done by the superintendent. And it's only an emergency situation, we're not gonna make long-term employment at this time. Just, hey, we're short on subs, we're scrounging, we're splitting classrooms because we don't have people. And it kind of falls into that financial burden that we're having, where we're having to pay an associate a stipend to try and handle, 22 kids
In a classroom.
in a classroom, and they're, they do a great job, but it'd be nice if we had a sub in there to help.
And I do appreciate that this is limiting it to certain positions and not opening
Well,
the door to
yeah,
all
and we're not gonna say what the
positions.
emergency situation is, that's gonna be left to the superintendent to say, hey,
And that was my
We've got an
question.
emergency situation.
Who would define emergency situations? and
superintendent's
how
gonna define emergency
Based on the
situation.
number of vacancies in the district.
I'm sure that's gonna come from HR and says, hey, we need 27 subs and we have 3.
So that may be discussed too. If this is approved and sent forward, that may be discussed there also.
process
Who
on how
will
we do
give-
it.
Yeah, the process and procedure on how that's managed. So you will hear that information too, but probably later on.
Because our policies would need to be updated if this would pass
If-
the legislature.
But it's, even though we send it to the resolution committee, is no guarantee that's going to be
Right.
approved. And it's no guarantee that once we do hand it to a legislature and they say, this is our platform, that it will go any further.
So I'm just gonna share my opinion. I think it's gonna be viewed by the community and school personnel as self-serving. I don't know.
Not yet.
Does nepotism laws fall into place in any of this?
Mr. Hill, can you tell us a little bit more about our sub numbers and shortage and just brief up the.
Well, those are always changing.
But
I
we're-
can tell you in my report later, we were gonna talk about the job fair that we had today. And so we are really promoting the opportunities that we have for substitutes. Also, if they come on as educational assistants, especially for career ladder opportunities, so that if they are interested in pursuing a degree in education, that we can support that. We worked with Workforce Solutions today, excuse me, to also see what other programs they have, and I've talked about those in the past. So there's definitely a sub shortage. COVID has brought another layer of difficulty in filling those positions. And so on any average day, we will have, 10 to 20 jobs that go unfilled. We probably have over 350 people that are signed up to substitute, but of those, we probably have maybe 150 that are active. Many of those are in permanent substitute positions already, so they're not active in the pool because they've already been assigned to fill a vacancy. So there is a big need to get subs, and on any given day, it can change. We have a new exposure or a positive case, and at that point, then that teacher or associate or ancillary staff is sent home, and so then there's another vacancy. So it seems like no matter how much we try to be proactive and anticipate those needs, there's definitely a shortage.
So let me add another layer to that. We are, what are the top 10?
The largest.
Largest top 10 schools in the state. So when you look at smaller districts that have a smaller population from which to choose, this has been brought forward before to the resolution committee. They have talked about it, nobody's brought one. So it really puts a burden on smaller districts trying to find substitutes when you have a board member that sits on the board and they have spousal members, they come into the community, but they're a board member and they can't substitute. In an emergency situation, when you really need one, that would be ideal. That would be a good emergency situation. Let that board member's cousin or whatever come into the classroom to help out. Smaller districts, I see, will really benefit from this more than larger districts, although larger districts will too.
The other
Will all benefit.
consideration is that, remember, when we do have emergency subs that are approved by the district, then they don't have to meet that higher educational requirement. We're able to use them just when there is a need that wasn't able to be filled by our regular substitutes.
Exactly.
And it's only at that one current that one specific spot.
Mhm.
It's not
It's
across the
wherever
board.
the principal is wanting them to come to.
Thank
So
you.
they may be limited to one location or two locations. It may be the locations where their children go to school. We really try to honor their wishes and the wishes of the administrative staff at the school campuses.
And I do know Clovis High School had to close down last week and go virtual, and it wasn't because of the number of COVID cases necessarily. It's because they didn't have enough substitutes to cover the classes for their students, so they had to shut their entire school down because of the substitute issue.
Yep.
So I don't think this is gonna solve our problem, but I think it's another strategy that we might be able to use to help our district. But your example made a lot of sense, especially for our smaller communities, that they have a lot of family in that community, and they may be related to a board member. And
Yeah,
again, I
can't
think,
get away from it.
I understand your concerns, Ms. Sanchez, and I think I would share them if it had other positions, like if it was also principals, administrators, things like that. I definitely wouldn't feel comfortable with something like that, but for me, for substitutes to help, I think it's, okay.
So we're talking about the board members, family members, we could approve for them to sub and.
If this
And the
makes it,
superintendent could approve his.
Emergency
the
situation.
superintendent can already
So who's gonna
have that.
define emergencies? I mean,
The superintendent. Well, we don't know. At this point, we're asking for the resolution
Yeah,
to be approved to, yeah.
Yeah, it may get language that says this, and this has to be approved by the PED to be an emergency.
Yeah, and we don't know what legislation's going to look like, so it's just an avenue.
Today with 30 short subs, probably would have been considered an emergency day.
Especially in those high-need classes.
Well, and then Mondays and Fridays are always more of a challenge, so.
Board, any other discussion or questions? With this, may I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
I have a motion made by Ms. Kirk and a second made by Mr. Dolan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no.
No.
We have, the motion has passed by a vote of 4-1.
Oh, so while, and I should mention this, but we're going on to the second one. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I failed to state that. When the resolution, on the resolution to modify this, I would also ask that we have all board signatures on there so we can see the board's signatures when it's delivered to NMSBA.
Okay, so two quick things. I want to make sure. The motion you made, Ms. Kirk, you made the motion to adopt with the modifications
Modifications.
made by Mr. Dolan, just so
Yes.
we get that in the notes.
Yes.
And I did double check with Mr. Ortiz because that came in the email. He said not every board member may want to sign this, so we don't have to put everybody's name, but anybody who would like to sign this may sign this.
Right.
So if you would like to
Right.
sign it, you can add your name, but you don't have to.
Okay.
Okay, and with that, we will move on. We now have NMSBA resolution for legislative priority, local autonomy resolution.
Madam President, I recommend approval of the NMSBA resolution for legislative priority local autonomy resolution.
Ms. Kirk, would you like to?
Okay, so, again, same process, we're taking it to NMSBA. I know there are several districts, so we all, several of us master board members got together and discussed this, and we shared the language for this resolution. So we are hoping that the more that send this legislative priority to NMSBA, we stand a better chance of it getting to be on our platform. So, having said that, any questions?
We all have that paper copy in
Yes.
front of you as well.
Yes.
I might have a couple of questions.
Okay.
On the fourth whereas, on that one, where the board is concerned that the New Mexico Public Education Department may be restricting, that one on the fourth?
Yes.
A one size fits all. My opinion, that it needs to be taken out. I think it's meaningless because there's a law that eliminated this authority to all school boards and replaced the PED under law leadership of the serving governor. And this law was passed by a great majority of our New Mexico voters, and I don't think this resolution cannot occur because there is a law that provides the authority to the PED, and there has to be a complete change of the law for this to happen.
So, I don't think it's a law. I'm pretty sure, I tried to find it, but I think it was a constitutional change. So, I'm 99.9% sure that it's not a law, it's a constitutional change. So, the legislature can't even change it without taking it back to a full vote of the state. So, and I know it's a law, but it's above a law when it goes to a constitutional change. So, I like the idea of it. I just don't think it can be changed by the legislature, and I think we should choose our battles, and that's my personal opinion. I just think that it's a constitutional change is something that needs to happen elsewhere than trying to get New Mexico School Board Association to approve
So for me,
something in a 30-day session.
For me, I'm kind of taking it as what it is, and it's an opportunity for us to show as a board what we think the priorities should be, what some of the conversations should be around. Again, understanding what you all are saying, I hear it, but this is just an opportunity for this to be passed up to the state level and to be recognized and just move on to that next space. Just continuing that conversation around local control that we have been talking about.
And I second that. Local autonomy is definitely what I think this board should be looking at, because it is. Local autonomy is, we want to make the decisions for our district. And so I think that whether we send it forward or not, I think that's going to be on the resolution, because there are so many of us that feel that way, that it's not only in the southern states, it's in the northern too, because I have another master board member that I communicate with that wanted the language that's in northern New Mexico. So it is. We all feel that local control, local autonomy, local decision-making is better for each district.
And I think,
So-
even if it doesn't go all the way, I think with the new Secretary of Education, he has seemed to be very positive and responsive to some of the ideas. I
Yes,
know
he
we've
has.
seen some examples of local control related to, well, how are we handling the high cases at the schools? That's something a little bit different. We still have to take action. Our focus is still on student safety, still on keeping our schools open. But I think that's an example. So if the Secretary sees this, I think it's an opportunity for more partnership and not necessarily just coming down from the state. And it may not go that route, but I think it's just another tool to kind of help express the needs of the local boards.
I want to say that I personally believe there's more important priorities for us to consider for the 2021 legislative session. If you look at what was selected last year for the 2020, you're looking at the SEG sufficiency funding, you're looking at early childhood pre-K funding, teacher recruitment, retention, and preparation, you're looking at school safety and security. They have priorities dealing with career and technical education. And I think that we need to start working in June and meet with the New Mexico School Board Association to prepare resolutions to address priority issues that have statewide impact. I would like to see a priority, for example, to increase access to nursing, mental health, social emotional learning staff. How about support student and preserve educational funding, increasing educational equity by closing the digital divide, supports and funding for students with disabilities and their families. And I think we need to concentrate on priorities that are going to benefit the educational needs of all our children.
And,
Thank you.
and Ms. Santos, you're welcome to address those resolutions. We meet in the fall. So if you would like to see those resolutions, maybe for next year drafted, we will be having a 60-day session. So absolutely draft those and send them to the resolution committee. And I'll be happy to carry those. I'll be happy to send them to Mr. Guillen. But we do have to draft the resolutions before we can send them forward.
So, Ms. Kirk, could you pass the on to Mr. Guillen? Sometimes it's hard. I think he communicated this stuff to us only by email. So it might have been hard for some, like, she has interest in that, but it's hard when you're reading it on an email. If he is able to kind of share with us or have meetings in the summer to prep us so that all board members have a better understanding on what they can do or what the process is ahead of time. Just so, because it was a lengthy email as well, and when you're going through things, it may not have come across with all the steps.
And I believe they
Necessary.
meet in June, right? The procedure, the process starts in June, so we can meet with Mr. Gillen?
No, for us, it starts now.
Okay.
Now, and the deadline was yesterday, so, yeah, I think he sent the email out 2 months ago, I think was the first one. And then he sends a follow-up.
Gotcha.
And it's my understanding most of the things you mentioned, they have been on their priority list for the past several years and
Several
will
years.
likely to.
Stay on the
Yeah.
priority list, yeah.
But I think she's right, we need to make sure, we don't want to assume they are going to remain priorities. If they are, we need to make sure we're also submitting resolutions for those things as well. But on this one, any other comments, feedback on the local control resolution? Okay, with that, may I have a motion to approve?
So with that also, I'd like to add the signatures of the board members that would like to sign it. So it is drafted and sent with every signature that wants that opportunity. I make the motion.
Thank you, and I'll say the same thing that I said with the last one. Any board members who would like to sign it are welcome to. You do not have to if it is passed. Okay, I have a motion to approve. May I have a second? I'll second that motion. A motion made by Ms. Kirk and a second by myself. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no.
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 Okay. Mr. Edwards, I don't know if I got your vote either way.
I'm going to recuse myself from this.
And so before you do, audience, you may
Yes,
not,
yes,
no,
again.
no, audience, you may not engage with the board at this time.
Again.
Thank you.
Just so, I want to make sure you understand, an affirmation will be counted as a yes vote. So I want to give you that opportunity before you abstain. Any abstainment will be counted as a yes, which would pass the resolution. Good to go?
Okay.
Okay, so the resolution has passed. Okay, next we have reports. Mr. Luck?
Thank you very much, Madam President, members of the board. Lots going on. We've been extremely busy. Attended city council meeting the other night with Mr. Sanchez. The approval for the bid for the water line for Mountain View Middle School, give or take right around $560,000 worth of work, was approved by the city council. City will contract the work. District will fund the project after it is done. We are super excited about that. Did send you guys earlier today, members of the board, some results from a survey that we conducted, give or take about 3 weeks ago. Won't even stutter on this one. A little miscommunication as far as what we were looking for from our survey. We got good information back, but I'm ready now to dive deeper into the looking forward to spending our money as far as getting some specifics back from the community for specific needs that they see. We've hit, give or take, a couple months of school right now. Feel like we ought to be able to get a really good idea and a really good pattern for what we're looking for our money. The course in English and Spanish, get that out ASAP, hopefully before middle of next week so that we can get that up and running. The information that you guys have is, like I said, it's good information, but I'm not so sure that it captured what I needed. So I'm looking forward to round two. Kind of had an opportunity to speak our piece a little bit and now really drill down and get specific on our needs for our funding. Would like to highlight, if I could, the continued collaboration with our schools to keep them open. Our state has given us the opportunity to work within our own powers, and I'm excited about that. It was extremely tough when it was just kind of a one-size-fits-all, and you're looking at things and it didn't make sense. And they gave us a little flexibility, and I'm taking it. to be blunt about that. Looking ahead, we have had situations where in the past we would have had to have closed entire schools. We've closed part of a classroom. We've actually sent whole classrooms home. But we've been able to keep our doors open, and that's really, really big for us. We've put a lot on our principals as far as picking and finding solutions that work within their community. And we've asked our parents, we've asked our principals to get with their parents and say, okay, you know, we've asked for being in charge of this, knowing the end result of this, if it has an opportunity to kind of spread out of control, and it's worked. Our principals have developed plans. They've submitted them to me. I have to give those plans to the state so that we have a system set up in place to throw some mitigation at that. We've also had an opportunity to ensure that our technology is in a better spot. I think a couple of our schools were, I don't want to say caught off guard. I don't think anybody expected some of it to be quite as quick as it was. And we ran into some hiccups with that, but it has also given us an opportunity so that in the event that we have to move to a virtual learning style, that you know, everything is there, everything is in place, the teachers have their accounts set up. The difference in this year versus last year is they know their kids, they've seen their kids, they can walk through that with their kids inside the classroom. Obviously, you know, I still think face-to-face is always better, but it did give us an opportunity to set that up. And it also gave us a chance to look at our expectations of our teachers. I mean, obviously, we don't want to add more to their plate than what they're doing. And it gave us a chance to say, okay, this is our basic expectation of when this happens and what's going to be required of you as a teacher, and what's going to be required of the kiddos too. It has been interesting. I won't even stutter when I say that. We've had several instances where students were exposed to something in their room, came back after the required amount of time, and got exposed another day or two later. And I mean, that has not gone unnoticed. And we're still having to deal with situations like that. We do feel like we've kind of got to a spot where we've got a decent handle on it. Our numbers have remained relatively steady as far as the last week or so. And I think a lot of it has to do with the work that our principals are doing, and most of all, our kids and their parents, and being able to come in and recognize the importance of that face-to-face. And I mean, that's a humongous thank you from me, because that's huge, and I know it. And I know that I've got several parents that probably don't agree with a lot of it, but have sent their kids because they know that that's where they need to be. And I appreciate that. I really do. And I know their teachers do. And like I've said from the get-go, we're going to get past this. We're going to get through this. I think we've started to jump over the hurdles instead of being stopped by them. And again, I think that's a testimony to our town. And I really do mean that. Keeping with this tone a little bit, the indoor sports spectators, I really do appreciate. I know Mr. Cooper, our school security staff, really do appreciate the mask. One of the components in our plans, I'll just say it out loud, is if we run into issues where our numbers start to spike up, we can always pull crowds out of games, and we don't want to do that. Our kids have worked really, really hard over the years, and our parents have sacrificed a lot to get those kids to where they're at, and we want them in there. And I really, personally, again, I appreciate the groups that come in and, just kind of try to comply and help us to keep our kids out there working together for their goals. I do think, going back to what you guys were talking about a second ago, this is a perfect example of what a little trust and collaboration amongst the stakeholders can produce. And like I said, they gave us a chance, and I think as far as our district goes, I feel like we're making it work as good as we can. Going to switch gears a little bit. On September the 27th, y'all have a meeting, and I wanted to make sure that y'all did get invited, and I think I've hit just about everybody, so I think I can check that off.
That's the Region 4, right?
In Hobbs?
In Hobbs, oh, Region 6.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure that did get to everybody.
And I'll talk about that.
Okay. Also, kind of not trying to steal Miss Trujillo's Thunder, but the job fair today at the Civic Center was an amazing event. I talked to industry, I talked to private businesses, people were handing out information. Our representatives were there trying to do the same thing. It is a very competitive job market out there right now, and I like I said, the organizers of today's event, I want to make sure that we publicly thank them because it was very well run. So thank you to them. We did shut Mesa Middle School down today due to a water leak. Back in business tomorrow. They got that problem fixed about 9 o'clock. We were notified last night. Maintenance crews got there this morning at daybreak, made the decision to go ahead and close for today just to make sure that everybody had the opportunity to get their parts. I was really worried. They identified the problem, and I got excited, and then I was kind of getting worried that we weren't gonna be able to find the parts to fix it. But got notice this morning, about mid-morning, that everything was back up and running. So look forward to that. Almost done. Next to last parent-teacher conferences this Thursday and Friday, with elementary parent-teacher conferences being primarily virtual. We did provide an option if they wanted to do a face-to-face, following some COVID guidelines, but the majority of our elementary stuff is going to go virtual. With our secondary schools following COVID guidelines. There wasn't really a way that we could schedule 125 individual conferences over Zoom, but we have been assured by our secondary principals that they'll monitor our traffic in and out of the building, and that we'll follow all of our COVID guidelines. And then lastly, real quick, give or take close to 90 days on the job. When I first started, I had an opportunity to visit with each of you individually as far as what you were looking for in superintendent, and just some good conversation. And I'd like to follow up with that. So hopefully between tomorrow, probably not tomorrow, but before the week's over, sending out an email, scheduling just some time like we did before, and appreciate a little bit of reflection so that I can make sure that I'm continuing to do the job that you guys hired me to do. So I look forward to the conversation and to the dialogue. And that concludes my report. Stand for any questions?
Any questions, board?
No. Great job. Thank you.
All right. So I think, my apologies. Mr. Cole, year-to-date expenditure report and updates.
Superintendent Luck, Board President Morales, members of the board, you have there before you the year-to-date revenue and expenditure report, all funds of the district. You can see where we're at as of August 31st. So you can see the activity is starting to flow. There's some expenditures starting to flow. There's certainly some encumbrances starting to flow. But that gives you an idea, and so any questions that I can answer about that. Again, it's kind of interesting to go through an entire cycle. We just crossed fiscal years and started a new fiscal year, but time flies when we're having fun, so we must be having a blast because we're about to close the first quarter of the new fiscal year. So that's what we'll be working on in October. And right now, I should mention that we've been deeply embedded with our financial auditors this week, gathering information, sending it to them, trying to make their lives easier, and they're trying to make our lives easier and more efficient process as we send that documentation for testing of various areas of the financial activity of the school district and, of course, our various schools out there. I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but everything is looking very well so far. And of course, we always know that we don't like surprises at the end, and we communicate that thoroughly with our auditors. But there's always the chance that they come across something as we wrap up in November 15th. That's when we have to have that thing in. And when I say that thing, I mean our financial audit. But everything is going very well, and we're moving forward and looking at first quarter reports in October.
Mr. Cole, I just wanted to flag, I don't know when we're supposed to get the emails about the audits, but I haven't gotten anything yet, so just flagging for you.
And I did talk to them about that, and I will talk to them about it again. So we've got some pretty big deals out there. One is GASB 77, and it's a disclosure that deals with activity accounts, and which, as board members, I think most of us are very aware, and coming from the schools and the classrooms and administration as well, of activity accounts and what a blessing and maybe a chore they can be in terms of when an auditor walks in the room. The first question they ask you is, well, they ask you two questions. One, is there any fraud that you're aware of? And then the other question is, what's your weakest link? And the answer to question number two is always activity accounts. So there are some new Governmental Accounting Standards Board pronouncements called the GASB, which deal with activity accounts and how we classify those within our financial statements. So that classification has never been required before. It could simply be a footnote in the notes section of the audit itself. This last fiscal year, the year we're working on right now, currently for audit, will require that disclosure in the financial statements of those fiduciary activities and non-fiduciary fiduciary activity accounts. And so when I say fiduciary versus non-fiduciary, there's lots of examples, and it's quite a calculated or quite a chore to if this, then that, but if not, if that. So it's quite the flow chart to determine whether it's fiduciary or not. I'll give you a quick and dirty example that's really great, just to kind of wrap our mind around the fiduciary responsibilities of an activity account in that category, and that would be like a scholarship fund, where it's driven through trust, the revenue is sourced through trust, and they hand the revenue to us and say, okay, Mr. Zuniga, Mr. Carrasco, pick your scholarship students that meet these criteria for such and such scholarship. They distribute the funds and they tell us how that needs to go. So we have a fiduciary responsibility with those accounts, and they are not ours to control, but they are on our books. And so we need to note that in our financial audit, and with GASB 77, it makes our financial statements more comparable with that of corporate financial statements and other governmental entities. And that's the goal.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Cole.
All right, at this time, Mr. Hill, Human Resource Report and September Job Fair.
We've talked about a lot of this already. So the first job fair that we did back in August, we were working with the Chamber of Commerce, and you heard from Andrea Moore today. Did I get that wrong again?
No, he's right.
Okay, now I stop. And then today we had another job fair. It was with New Mexico Workforce Connections. It was very well attended, as we have been talking about. We've moved from not only trying to fill positions and vacancies, but also trying to secure substitutes, as you know. So some of the things that we're putting in place to support that process is by providing the technology. So we have computers set up here as well as upstairs, so that people can get the supports as they're going through the process. Sometimes technology can be a deterrent in the application process. We have been supporting the business office with the auditors and the supporting there. So human resources is also part of that. We've also seen some great results with retired teachers wanting to come back to work. And so that's been a great source of celebration for us. It's really nice when we have those retiring teachers that are wanting to come back and fill some of those vacancies. They don't want to come back in full-time positions, but they want to come back as substitutes, and we'll take them either way. They are one of our biggest treasures and resources. And so we've been working with them. I do want to acknowledge some of the schools that really stepped forward today to help us with the job fair. Our lead recruiter is out right now. Ms. Annabelle Borunda has organized the job fair and really taken the lead for us. But we had Mr. Carrasco, I don't know if he left already, but Mr. Carrasco was there, as well as Mr. Zuniga. Mountain View came forward with their staff, and both Mr. Franco and Ms. Watson were there to support us. We also had Ms. Tamara Getty from Mountain View, and we had Mr. Miramontes from University High, as well as Mr. Luck and myself going through. So it was a really great event. And again, we really take pride in being able to promote what the district has to offer. As the biggest employer in the city, we definitely want to make sure that people know what opportunities they have, and that this can be more than a job, that we offer them career opportunities. And so we'll be continuing to work on promoting events and promoting awareness so that we can hopefully do the best to support the district. If I may, before we move on, I would like to acknowledge Dr. Laura Lucero Carrillo. One of the things that we've been working with in filling the gaps is, as you know, parental choice. We want to honor that, and some of that comes through virtual learning. And so we had to get a little bit creative in scheduling the virtual. And again, you try to anticipate where those needs are, but it totally is driven by the choice that the parents make. So one of our new ones that came up was our little 3 and 4 year olds. And so again, as things pop up, you have to be flexible and be problem solvers, because we don't want to just look at something as a problem. We want to look at it as a challenge and an opportunity for us to improve. And so it is through the efforts and concerted efforts that I think we're able to effect good change.
Awesome.
And so I just wanted to acknowledge her for being here.
Awesome. Any questions?
So kind of on that note, I would too like to acknowledge, we've got a group of individuals with us here tonight that are, I don't think we're quite to student teaching yet, but we have a group of future educators, I hope. And I cornered them a while ago to find out what they were looking to do down the road, and I've pretty much already identified where they're going. So I wanted to thank you guys for being here tonight, and look forward to. What's that?
Introduce them and tell us.
They're going to have to introduce themselves.
Actually, if you guys will introduce yourselves, we have 4 students that we're working with with Carrie Lemke with the university. We also have, I think, 3 student teachers that are in place right now, so we're working with them to make sure that they're going through the process with the background checks, and that we're supporting them. We also have gotten creative with our student teachers and being able to substitute for us. And the university has been very, very supportive. Would you guys like to come up and introduce yourself?
Please.
I know I have your names.
Who are they going to?
Nothing like pressure, right?
Hi, we are from Ms. Flom's Communication for Teachers class. Ms. Flom teaches at Goddard High School and at ENMUR. We have been assigned to write a essay on the school board meeting and our girls' nonverbal and verbal cues. So we've taken notes on everything.
Oh, no. Now you tell us. We should have been.
Why some of it, they're just diligent.
My name is Isabel Perry, and I am hoping to teach art at Goddard in the future. And right now, I'm also a substitute teacher.
Awesome.
Hello, sorry. My name's Araya White Bear. I went to Roswell High and I've freshly graduated. I'm planning to be an art teacher at Roswell High.
Cute.
So I'm currently on my first year at ENMUR. I was a dual credit student, so I had a path kind of already paved when I went to campus at ENMU.
Okay. What middle school or elementary did you go to?
I went to Sierra Middle School and I went to Military Heights.
That's where. Okay. The mask can't hide. I know it. Awesome.
Great.
Hi, I'm Abigail Sanchez, but my kids know me as Miss Abby. I'm a preschool teacher right now. I work at a daycare center, but I would like to go into the school district. Mainly my kids. I like preschool, kindergarten. But yeah, that's me.
Awesome. Nice to meet you.
My name is Luis Santion. This is my second year at ENMUR. I plan on teaching math for GHS. I've actually already been in talk with Ms. Rodriguez Hudson. High school at that. But I've already been in talks with Ms. Rodriguez Hudson, and hopefully being able to take over the MESA program, because I did go through it the whole 4 years.
Oh, nice.
So I really hope I can take it over and hopefully keep kids in the program, because it was a really fun experience for me as well. Came out with a $1,000 scholarship, so you really learn the importance of that once you see those first prices. But
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you all so much for
glad y'all are
being
here.
here,
Thank
and
you.
we're excited to keep seeing you.
Or new teachers.
And if I may add, you know, we've talked about in past board meetings how important it is to try to get young people hooked before they graduate. And I think that all 4 of these young people can really be commended for making those choices, knowing where they are. I mean, they didn't hesitate to tell you what they want to do. And so that's really, really commendable. So thank you guys for being here.
Awesome. And next up, we have Ms. Cole, Curriculum and Instruction Report.
Yes, sir. So, President Morales, Superintendent Luck, and members of the board, I have emailed you the board report. This afternoon, Angela emailed it to you. And so now you have a hard copy. It would take me quite a while to go through all the things that my department's doing, but they are working very hard every day, and I'm so proud of them, and I appreciate them. And so I'll start off with early childhood. Just a couple of points. Abigail Sanchez, so glad to know that you're going into early childhood. I will have our coordinator contact you and see if we can start supporting you. So one of the things we would really like to do is turn Parkview Early Childhood Center into an early childhood lab to start growing our early childhood teachers. And so Jody is working on that. We have our ESL and GED classes as part of the parent engagement program at Parkview. We have 2 family engagement specialists, so they offer parenting classes, and I won't read through the entire list, but there's lots of things happening in the early childhood area. In Family and Student Services, Veronica Barraza, who is our Students and Youth in Transition liaison, has been delivering information about McKinney-Vento to agencies throughout Roswell, trying to identify and support families who may be experiencing homelessness right now, so we appreciate the work that she's doing. Of course, Jen talked about the
Ms.
wellness.
Cole?
Yes.
I'm sorry, before you move on, that is such a wonderful program, and I barely learned about it once I was on the board. Do we also do this training for our building principals so that they can help pass it on to teachers who are working with our kiddos who can flag some of this stuff?
Are you talking about McKinney?
Yes.
McKinney-Vento? Yes, we do.
Okay,
So we do
awesome.
that at the beginning of the year. We also train our secretaries so that they can help in that identification
Okay,
process as well.
thank you.
You're welcome. Let's see, I'm going to skip over to Sierra and the community school. So we have that community school up and running. We're providing wraparound services for students, doing lots of different things there. The big news is that the school-based health center is almost ready to open. So we'll have that school-based health center in 4 locations in Roswell, and we anticipate having that up and running by the beginning of October, fingers crossed. I also would like to thank Dr. Lucero Carrillo. She has done so much work on the virtual school. We have virtual school up and running, pre-K through 12. It's taken lots of problem solving and hours, and so I appreciate you for doing that. Danny Kajuboski is our alternative ed teacher, and he helped quite a bit. He has lots of knowledge with Apex to support the secondary, and so I just want to thank her for that. In the midst of getting the virtual school up and running, she also wrote a computer science grant, and we received notification that we received that second-year award. So congratulations to her for doing that. Much needed in our district. We do have computer science standards that we'll begin following. We have an upcoming Striving Readers site visit in the next couple of weeks. I think September 27th is the day, so we've been working on finalizing our district's literacy plan. Ms. Steinhardt has been working very hard on that. She's implemented a literacy council and has been working with them, and so good work going on there. This past week, we had several people from our secondary schools, counselors, teachers, administrators, attend the New Mexico Association of Career Technical Education Conference. And so they came away with lots of ideas, and we're just happy that they were all able to attend. It's the first time we've had that many people from our district in attendance. I think the first time ever that our middle school people have been able to attend. And so they're excited to begin working together on the ideas and strategies that we learned at that conference. And so we'll be meeting on September the 21st and 22nd to go through that. We'll be meeting with industry on those 2 days as well. to further develop our CTE program. We finished our curriculum instruction review at Goddard and Roswell High. And so we'll be receiving the report from SREB on the 21st and 22nd and identifying those next steps that we'll need to take in implementing and further developing our programs of study and our pathways. University High will begin their curriculum instruction review the last week of September 27th. They're scheduled to launch, and that's all I have. I stand for questions.
I do have a question for Mrs. Cole. The literacy plan, is that something that you're able to share with us?
Yes, I'll be happy to.
Like, is it a large plan, or it could be in an email?
It can be an email,
Okay,
yes, it
that
can.
would be
And
interesting.
it includes our our systems of support for students who may be struggling with literacy, so I'll send it out to you.
And then on your open court, that was ordered and organized, is that something that was in process when Mr. Butler ordered them?
Yes, this was our attempt at closing that gap with K through 3 in language arts and in phonics. Mr. Gottlieb talked a lot about that gap in phonics, so it's our support for structured literacy. All of the letters training that we're doing is also our support for that. Our dyslexia screener, so we're working on that now. Ms. Steinhardt has worked with our first grade teachers. We know that there's a new statute in place. We have to have that completed by the 40th day. So we're on track to have that done.
So all of that is delivered to all our elementary schools, K through 3, through 3?
Yeah, K through.
Dyslexia is for
all our
first grade, and yes, open court is for K through 3, all schools. Yes, ma'am.
All right.
One more question on that topic. Who is the Literacy Council? Comprised of?
I will send you the list.
Okay.
So we have district admin, we have school admin, and we have teachers from all levels.
Okay, awesome.
I have a question too. So when will you do when is the first grade dyslexia screener presented? When do we start that process?
We've already started the process, and we have to have it completed by the 40th day.
Okay.
Which is October.
September 27th, I believe, is the completion date. Mr. Bewley, September.
It's not the official 40th date from the stars, it's the 40th instruction date.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Cole.
Yes, ma'am.
Mrs. Cole, thank you, so I could read it earlier. And please tell Angela I apologize.
Yes, sir.
I was like, what is this? Oh, yeah. But thank you, I got to read it now. Yeah, all right, I understand.
I have one more question. I might have missed it. Mr. Bewley, do we have a testing calendar already that's out?
Yes.
Is it on the website? I'm looking for the SAT. Are we paying for that again for our high school students, the SAT?
Yes.
Or?
So we have October 13th is the
Yeah, I think it
primary
is. I
day.
think it's.
October 26th is the makeup day, although I don't like to talk about the makeup day because I want everyone
Yeah.
to know the 13th.
Right?
Right.
And so
Okay.
we've asked the schools to follow the same sort of, have a safety plan in place
Yeah.
as the people arrive.
Okay.
And then the PSAT 8th grade is going to be at the end of the month. But that one's going to be digital, so no paper.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, sir. Any other questions, board? Okay. Now we have board communication, informational items, and acknowledgements. Anybody?
Yeah, I
So-
have a few. Go ahead.
All right. So I just wanted, we're up here because we volunteered, okay? But I want to thank the staff that, wasn't part of your job plan when you took the job to be here till, and this might be an early night for you, but, a lot of these are, you come in 6:37. I'm sure none of you don't get here till, well, May and I get here till 8. But, you've already checked your emails, and if you did come in at 8, you've already done 2 hours' work. So I just want to thank you all for coming in and doing the time that, I think our district does a great job. And, we talk about recognizing this department or this department, but I don't think we could do it and be where we're at without everyone, from all of your departments, the ones not here represented. And, I just want to thank everybody because it's a hard job, and I'm sure that if you went to the private sector, you would probably make more money. Okay, and I just want to thank you all for for what you guys do, for the phone calls you get at 9 o'clock from a principal or from a board member asking, what does this mean? So I just want to thank you all. Okay?
Thank you.
And I echo those sentiments. I've been in your shoes, so I know exactly. And thank you, Mr. Dolan, because yes, it is. These nights, especially when the board meetings run on and on and on, it does. And then you have to get up and go to work the next morning. It does take a lot out of you. So thank you. And great job. I appreciate each and every one of you. So I'd like to add a few things. On the 27th is our Region 6 board meeting. And we have our topic is going to be school mental health and best practices, and that's going to be presented by the Department of Health. So prior to that, and we each got the agenda, and we've received the letter from Superintendent Strickland. So last year, when we had our spring Region 6 meeting, Hobbs was our host, and unfortunately, it was virtual, so we finally get to have it in person, and he agreed to have it in person. So this will be a person-to-person meeting in Hobbs on the 27th at starting at 5:30 and ending at 8:15. Prior to the meeting getting started, we're going to take a tour of the Career Technology Education Center, which Ms. Cole spoke about, that they are having their conference on September 21st through the 22nd. So that would be a perfect opportunity for you, Ms. Cole, to see there. Hobbs has this fantastic CTE building, amazing program. So I encourage you, if you can, to attend also. Then after that, we will go straight into I will do the salute and the welcome, and then we'll have dinner, and then we'll have our program, which is the school mental health and best practices. And then closing. We may have a special topic on there, and I will make sure that I will let everyone know if that's the case, because I do want to run that by Mr. Ginn before I add it, and with Mr. Strickland too. So, having said that, then we go on to our resolution committee meeting, which is on the 29th, a couple of days after that, in Albuquerque at 10 a.m. So with with that, always, we have our policy committee, our director, which used to be Don Williams. If y'all remember, Mr. Williams actually started the process with us, but unfortunately, unexpectedly, Mr. Williams passed away. So we had to put that out for bid and look for a new director of policy service. And John Kennedy has won that position. So he will be our new service, and he's with the Cuddy McCarthy Law Firm in Albuquerque, and has been for many, many years. But he since retired and has been retired for several years, probably 2 or 3, I think. But anyway, he's going to be our service director now, so everything will flow through Mr. Kennedy. And I think he will be he'll be able to pick that up and run with it just as well as Mr. Williams did. And I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kirk. Thank you for your words, Mr. Dolan, and I too want to, because I know how I am, so I want to appreciate the staff who has gotten to learn a little bit more about me and my working style. I work with a sense of urgency. I'm very matter-of-factly. I love and respect all of you, so thank you as you learn who I am, and I appreciate all of you. Mr. Lux, sorry about bugging you so often. Board, if you have your calendars, if you can get them out so we can kind of discuss some dates for our next board retreat with Mr. Ortiz. We have 3 options for October. One would be Wednesday, October 6th, Thursday, October 7th, or Friday, October 29th. And it would be at least half a day, probably starting at 9 a.m. Once we pick a date, then I can come back to you all for agenda items and things like that.
The Thursday date would be really good for me, because I don't work Thursdays.
Okay.
But I could make Friday work, I just swap my days off.
Gotcha. So,
Okay.
looking at Thursday, October 7th, would that be okay for the others?
And you're saying half a day?
Probably, I would plan from about breakfast 8:30 to 9, start at 9 to about 1 maybe.
Okay, because that is the ENMSF State Fair, so
What
it
time
starts
is
at
that?
4. It
Okay,
starts
so
at
that would
4,
be-
so if we're out of there in plenty of time, that would be okay. I wouldn't have a
Ms.
problem with
Sanchez,
that.
would that be okay? Mr. Edwards, that Thursday? Okay, board, so I will get this information to Mr. Ortiz, and then I'll work with Julie so that you can help communicate with the board for agenda items and things like that. Anything else, board? I feel really awkward taking a motion for us to end the agenda. Our meetings are normally 3 to 4 hours. So it doesn't feel right. But,
I'll make the motion.
okay, we have a motion and a second. Motion made by Ms. Kirk and a second by Ms. Sanchez. May I have a roll call, please?
Hope Morales?
Yes.
Hilda Sanchez?
Yes.
Mona Kurt?
Yes.
James Edwards?
Yes.
Milburn Dolan?
Yes.
Okay, and the meeting has ended at 7:45 PM. Thank you all.